Hello everyone and welcome back to Proof Gaming. Today I'm going to bring you an off-meta Revenant build. This build that I have kind of just created is focusing more on boon sharing and boon duration, as well as some toughness and trying to keep yourself sustained. And especially for PvP, if you are doing conquest, it's nice to bunker down on a point and make sure you have it. I'm also kind of inspired by Boot's bad builds. He did a warrior boon mancer type deal, and I will actually post that video down below because I thought it was really excellent. And I love Boot's bad builds, so I thought I would create one because this is, I don't think, I'll let you guys comment on it, but I thought we might as well just get right into it. So for the build, I am taking a sword, shield, and hammer. My sigils are Sigil of Purging and Sigil of Cleansing on both weapon sets. For the rune, I am taking Rune of the Herald for extra boon duration as well as toughness. And the protection on the heal is also nice. And you also apply it to nearby allies, which is a little bit more support, which I will get into a little bit more of the support aspect when we delve into the utility skills. And for the amulet, I am taking the Diviner amulet for more power, a little bit more power so I can do a little bit of damage, and mostly for the concentration. If there was a amulet where it was concentration, toughness, main stats, and healing power and vitality minor stats, that would be amazing, and I would probably go for that. But this was the one that I felt more comfortable with right now because there isn't an amulet that exists like that, which would be a great idea for adding more amulets in the future expansions, which expansions are coming up. So we're going to go right into the specializations. I'm taking Retribution, Invocation, and of course the Herald. For Retribution, it's more of tanking and reducing your damage, especially in Conquest and CC breaks. I'm taking Close Quarters, reduce damage from further range. Eye for an eye, taunt, and more protection, another boon. And Versed in Stone, chance when struck to use Rite of the Great Dwarf, which is an amazing trait. Steadfast Rejuvenation might be good. It might be a possible better option. I have not played around with this too much because this is a chance when struck, and also the health threshold is 50%. But this is every 4 seconds you have a 50% chance to heal for about 400. Empowering Vengeance, I don't know. I think the other two options are much more powerful than Empowering Vengeance. So as Retribution, for Invocation, I am taking a Cleansing Channel for that Connie removal. This build, I would advise, is not the best at removing conditions, though the boons might outweigh it. I'm not too sure. But yeah, keep that in mind. This is not a build that can easily remove conditions. That's one reason why I was taking the Condi removal on weapon swap. Next, I'm taking Equilibrium for more damage, or more healing, I should say, because I'm typically under 50% energy with Revenant. So the heal is nice. If you happen to be over, the damage is nice, but really I'm keeping the healing in mind, especially if you're in close quarters fights. And I'll show you the gameplay after we go over this stuff. And I've found some really good fights. And for the Grandmaster, I am taking Shrouding Mists for energy reduction and increased healing, depending on which bar of the energy you are at. And finally, for the Herald, I am taking Hardening Persistence, mostly for the toughness. Because my amulet does not have toughness, I wanted to be a little bit more bunkery, so I thought playing with more toughness, and because Glint is a really big upkeep legend, it would help. Radiant Revival is also a good option if you want to be more of a support-ish style character, where you're reviving people faster, which is always the smarter option in Conquest, and I know that, but I decided to go with Hardening Persistence, and I've had fun with it, and it's helped more passively though. Next, I'm taking Shared Empowerment. When you apply a boon to an ally, also apply might to nearby allies for extra damage. Bolster Fortifications is also good, though I would rather use, I guess this is just a blanket statement. This trait gets more use if you use Ventari, because Ventari, you're using your healing skill almost every 2 seconds. And with Revenant, you have a 30-second cooldown on your healing abilities other than Ventari. So, I don't... yeah, shared empowerment. And for the Grandmaster, I'm taking Soothing Bastion. Activate Crystal Hibernation when you reach 25% health, and increase Boon duration whenever you use a shield skill. I prefer this over Enhanced Bulwark, because Enhanced Bulwark only is when you get stability. This is a nice 3-second block, or 3-second block whenever you reach 25% health. And plus, if you have Crystal Hibernation off cooldown, you can use it twice and get a 6-second block. So yeah, those are things. Though Enhanced Bulwark might be good with Retribution, because gaining stability whenever you successfully evade an attack, if you're evading a lot, you'll see a lot of use out of Enhanced Bulwark. And because Endurance Regeneration is increased, whenever you have an upkeep skill, it's nice. But I've decided to take Soothing Bastion. So yeah, let's go into the weapon skills. I'm going to briefly touch over the weapon skills that I want to mention, and then utility skills. So the weapons that I usually camp in are Sword and Shield. Sword's nice just for some damage. The third skill, Unrelenting Assault, you gain might each time you strike a foe, which is nice. More damage, more possible damage. But I also use this as a survival skill, because when you go into Unrelenting Assault, you are granted with 1.5 seconds of evasion, and you're jumping around all over the place, so it's hard for people to predict where you're going to end up. So if I'm in a tight corner, Unrelenting Assault is a nice little breather. Envoy or Envoy, however you want to pronounce that. Envoy of Exuberance. It is kind of like a phoenix. It's like a healing phoenix. You send it out, it heals people, and also applies protection when it reaches its destination and upon arrival back to the person who cast it. So it's extra protection. Protection is really strong, especially in PvP, because you're reducing overall damage. Crystal Hibernation, great for healing and great to give yourself a little bit of a breather. And for the hammer, I typically take the hammer, or I typically swap to the hammer if I need to range someone down, or if I'm low on health and I need to retreat a little bit and still kind of do some damage if I find it safe to do so. So Hammer Bolt, simple. Coalescence of Ruin, nice ranged attack. Phase Smash. Phase Smash I typically use as a defensive skill as well, or much like Unrelenting Assault. Any skill on the Revenant that you go into like the mists, it's a great survival skill. And Field of the Mists is really nice. I typically use Field of the Mists right before I swap to the Sword Shield, because this will stay up for 6 seconds and it will destroy all projectiles. And Drop the Hammer. It's great if you are trying to down someone and an enemy teammate's trying to revive them. Drop the hammer on them and then you'll knock them down for 2 seconds. It makes their day terrible and it makes your day 10 times better. So keep that in mind. Moving on to the Herald and Chalice. Fast of Light passively pulls out regen, and the active is invert all incoming damage to healing. I typically save this when I'm really low. You don't want to do it when you're like moderately damaged. You want to do this when you're critically damaged, because you have the most, you have the most potential to fully heal yourself, unless they notice that you have infused light on you, and they're not going to hit you. But that's always a gamble, a risk reward type deal. Facet of Elements. Oh, hello, there's another player. Facet of Elements. You got Swiftness, and you got, this is making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna move over here. Okay, we're gonna move over. Oh no. Facet of the Elements. You get Swiftness, and then when you use it, you pulse out Burning, Chill, and Weakness. We're gonna let that person stay there. Facet of Strength, you gain Might, more damage. And Facet of Darkness. Facet of Darkness is really good if you are on a point by yourself and you have an uneasy feeling. You can pop this. It will reveal any stealth enemies, especially if they have multiple thieves on the enemy team. It's a good skill to use. And Facet of Chaos. It applies protection to all nearby allies, though it does drain your energy really fast. So use this only when needed. I typically use this for the knockback. So yeah. And we're moving over to Chalice. Soothing Stone is your main Condi cleanse. You can remove 3 conditions, and for however many conditions you remove, you get extra retaliation. Healing is nice, and the retal is also really nice. Extra damage. Forced Engagement is a great skill to use. You taunt the enemy and slow them, especially if they're a thief and they're just dodging all over the place. If you can time this really well and you get it off and they're taunt, they're slowed, they have to come at you. And typically thieves are really squishy. Okay, well, just gonna move over here a little bit again. We're just like trying to get away from this person. And then, wow, okay. Thankfully they're gone. Inspiring Reinforcement. This is the stone road that you create. Nice stability, and in PvP it now pulses out 2 stability on the first activation of the skill. When it's just pulsing, it doesn't pulse out 2. And extra stability to tie into one of the stability traits of the Grandmaster Herald. And Vengeful Hammers. I typically keep Vengeful Hammers up 24/7, or at least try to, for the extra healing and reduced incoming damage and condition damage. And Right of the Great, or Right of the Great Dwarf. This is an AoE damage reduction. So yeah, but you're still susceptible to control effects, so keep that in mind. It's a great skill to use right before you're going to switch over to your other legend glint. Just get some extra protection and a little cushion. So yeah, I hope I went over that quickly enough just to like burst through it. I'm going to show you the gameplay. Keep in mind this is not meta, but I have been fascinated with a tank style Boon character, especially in PvE, but it's kind of meh, so I've decided to take it to PvP. So I will switch over to the gameplay and I'll see you guys over there. Bye-bye. Hello everyone and welcome to the gameplay portion of this video. I will be focusing on the main fights that I thought were fairly decent to showcase this build. I did go down a couple times in this game mode, or in this fight, but that is to be expected. You can't always be extremely perfect, but there's a little bit of a skirmish on this point. I just wanted to point out that I was using Chalice for this portion because I felt like I was getting slightly focused, as people typically do when others go down. So I used the road down in the middle of the point, try to get a little bit of stability. I will end up going down here like right now. That gravity well was a bit of a struggle, but we're moving on to the next fight here. There is a Ellie and I believe a ranger, or no, it's a dragon hunter. And so I'm trying to focus down the Ellie because if they weren't, I didn't know what they were running, and considering Ellie's low health pool and they're just squishy armor type, I felt like they were the best target. However, due to Elementalists' exceptional bunkering specializations and builds, it's really nice. As you can see there, I used glints. I used my elite skill for the Herald. I knocked him back so they couldn't revive. And yeah, we're just trying to get the point. And then we're going to phase to another fight after I secured this kill on this dragon hunter. And yeah, switching over to another fight right now. And there's this thief, and this thief was a nuisance, or not a nuisance, well, it was a thorn in my side. So I decided to switch to Chalice and tried to use forced engagement on him. However, he got hit, but it wasn't enough to finish him off. Thankfully, I had a teammate, and so I just kept whirling around and trying to kill him. Thankfully, he went down. And I believe at this moment an Elementalist will come by and try to save their friend, but it does not end up working out. Yes, there is the Elementalist. And we're back on a fight, trying to knock him back. I interrupted them. Someone got on the point. Elementalist is still going strong. I'm using Crystal Hibernation there just to get some health up. It's always a nice skill to use, even if you're at like half health. It's still nice to like take a chill pill, take a little break, and reevaluate the scenario. Put down a road for extra stability, just in case anybody needed it. going after this Ellie, rebounded, and then they started overloading water. And at this point, I was like, no, it's not worth it, like, going after them, considering someone else is on the point. Here is a thief. They're trying to stun me and all that stuff. I activated my Facet of Darkness, which is also a stun break. It's a really useful stun break, especially in PvP, because there's a lot of stun in CC. I'm using my healing skill to convert conditions into retaliation. And I believe this is the portion of the fight where I really bunker down. As you can see, I'm using my Crystal Hibernation, my Shield 5. Switching over to Glint. I'll just refer to Glint and Jas. Switching over to Glint for the Legend swap, get some healing. Remove sync conditions. Switching back to Jalis for a little bit more tank. I managed to get my elite off. That is preventing me from dying super quickly. And I have to be honest, I don't know how I managed to survive this long in this fight. Using more Shield 5, and the thief is back on me. Managed to break out of the stun. And I'm using Unrelenting Assault more defensively. Thankfully he did teleport away, so I ended up not being bursted down. If he probably would have killed me. At this point, the thief is ranging me with poison. It's kind of useless to try to get him up, or to get the down player up, because they are poisoned, and I would just end up being focused. I use my Infused Light. Right there, I want to point out, with your Grandmaster in Herald, which allows you to use Crystal Hibernation and have extra boon duration, you have to be careful, because you might use Infused Light, but then you'll go into Crystal Hibernation without activating it, and that can be a little, I won't say disheartening, but I guess it is a little disheartening. So be careful of that. And I ended up going down, and then this is a battle with a Mesmer. This Mesmer was very bursty. I gotta give him that. So I ended up taunting them just to slow them down a little bit, lose their focus, healed up a little bit because it might as well. I'm using Crystal Hibernation here just for some blocks, and I switch over to Hammer for some range damage. I actually targeted my skill 5 so well, and I'm very proud of myself for that. When you're using Hammer, be careful where you aim your weapons, because there is a significant delay in terms of a PvP battle. Use my Facet of Darkness there. I'm using my Elite Facet of Chaos. And we're going back into Sword Shield. The Gravity Well was there. Managed to break out of the stun. I don't know how. I don't exactly remember what I did there. So that Crystal Hibernation, thank you to RNG, I was able to get 6 seconds of immunity. I ended up going down, but I quickly got back on the point to finish off this thief. So this really is just more about bunkering and trying to keep yourself alive, as well as like supplying boons to your allies, which is always nice. A little bit of support. This is a very off-meta build. It's not optimal, but I've been having fun with Revenant, and considering episode 6 of the finale is coming up, I'm excited for that. But that is the end of the video. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below how you might improve this build if you want to try it out. Be sure. Leave a like if you liked it. And I'll see you guys probably for another build video. And I have a bunch of stuff coming up. Love y'all.